In celebration of the Halloween season, I give you my top 10 Halloween or horror themed board games. Let's start off with an honorable mention, and that goes to Warhammer Underworld's Night Vault. To me, this has a very good horror theme going for it, where you are a knights-like group fighting against the dead in a ghostly army. It is based on their Age of Sigmar line, so these figures can be used both in this game or in Age of Sigmar. But this is one of their standalone board games that they've come out with. They have released a new version of this one that's a little more monster-esque. I think there are like bulls in there or something. Just recently came out. Don't own it yet, so of course I'm going with the one that I do have. It is scheduled for, suggested for 2 players, of course, because you have one playing each side, of a running time of 30 minutes, ages 12 plus. If you are interested in any of the Games Workshop games, especially the Age of Sigmar line, this is a good jumping off point. And if you are a fan of the horror genre, once again, this is a really great introduction into that line. All right, so let's go on to our next game, and it is a more family-friendly game by Think Fun. I do like a lot of their games. They really do have a lot of stuff that helps increase your thoughts, and makes you think a little bit about what you're doing and what's coming up. This game is for 2 to 7 players, ages 8 plus. The purpose of this one, it is a one-to-many game where one person is the light and the others are these little creatures moving around trying to stay hidden from the light. It's got some 3D trees, so you're hiding behind the trees. It's a lot of fun. It's made to be played in the dark, to add to that little spookiness value to it. Great family game. So if you're looking to get a horror Halloween themed game, especially to play on Halloween night, but want something that works for the whole family, this is a good jumping off point. Next, we have Terrors of London. This one is by Colossal Games. It is a card-based game, which is probably one of the few reasons it is a little lower on my list. I tend to like dungeon crawlers a little more, but when it comes to the horror genre, this game is top notch. The cards in here have some absolutely fantastic art. It definitely has that horror theme going on. If you like card games, and again, like all the rest, that horror theme, this one is a great pickup. Terrors of London. Next, we have Nocturne. Again, this one is a little more horror-esque, where you are fighting against horror-type creatures. It is a dice worker placement game. Running time 40 to 60 minutes, 14 plus for 2 to 4 players. That 2 to 4 players, like most of the games here within my bottom 5, almost could be shuffled around in almost any order, depending on your situation. But a lot of times they happen to be lower on my particular list only because of that player count restriction. And this one suffers from that downfall. I tend to like solo games a little better, but this one definitely fills my horror need, especially when I am looking for a nice horror game to play with my gaming group. Next, we have Escape Room. This is probably the furthest from that horror genre, but it does have that feel to it, where you are trying to escape this room before your timer runs out and you potentially die. Again, this is a party type game. It says for 3 or more players. However, me and my wife play this, just the 2 of us, all the time, and we have a blast. We have all of these, this original, the new one they came out with, all the little expansions. We love Escape Room. This is a great party game to pull it out. Everybody getting around the table. You pull out your map. You pull out all those little components, and you just go and you have different people. And there's so much going on in here. You can have different people working on different parts of it at the same time, so you're not necessarily stepping on each other's toes. These are a great set of games, especially if you like that game where you have to really think about what you're doing. You're trying to do that escape the room, figuring out puzzles. This one is a whole lot of fun. Highly recommended for your game group and your game nights. And on to number 6. We have the big boy, Claustrophobia 1643. This is an absolute gorgeous game. Once again, it suffers from not being probably a little higher on my list solely because of its player restriction, where this is a 2-player game running in about 45 minutes for ages 14 plus. This box and all of its components are just absolutely gorgeous. By Monolith. I love, everything about this game. I just wish they had a company, approved, made solo way to play this. I think there are some home brews on Board Game Geek. I'm not positive. It's been a while since I've been looking and tried or played anything. As I get through to these, I'm definitely going to go try to look that route and see what I can find. Because all the games that you're seeing on here, if I don't have an unboxing or a showcase, plan to see one. I love these games, and you can expect to see those coming soon down the road on the channel. And where I can, I will be doing setup and rules and reviews and all of that on all of these. And this is one that I would definitely love to try to get and play on the channel. So I'm definitely going to be looking into, solo variants and everything for this. But out of the box, straight from the company, 2-player game. The only real reason why it isn't a little higher on my list. Great horror themed dungeon crawl. Next, we have one of the more unique games. This isn't even a board game. These are 2 of the books from the graphic novel adventures line. This is from series 2. These are the 2 more horror themed within these books. These are great. They bring you back to your childhood of those old choose your own adventure novels, where you go through and you will read the book and you will be doing things and you have to do different things. And these are great. They're, especially good if you have, younger children, to help them, get into reading and do it in a fun way. I got both season 1 and 2. I will definitely be doing a more in-depth showcase and review of these. But here are the 2 of the more horror-themed of the two books, one based on werewolves and one being trapped in a house. Great games. Again, good for helping your little ones get into reading, help them, learn that skill in a fun way. My number 5 are these graphic novel adventures, specifically these two for that horror theme. Next, we have Run, Fight, or Die Reloaded. This is the new version for a running time of 30 to 45 minutes, ages 14 plus, 1 to 4 players. This gets into my number 5 category. One of the main reasons, it beats out some of those other ones like Claustrophobia is because it has that solo play from go. I really love and appreciate that. This is, like I said, the upgraded or the updated version of Run, Fight, or Die, where you are trying to survive a horde of zombies. So this fits in with that horror zombie niche. Great game. Definitely one you will have a lot of fun with. Run, Fight, or Die by Gray Fox Games. Next is, I believe actually that was number 4. So now we have into our top 3, with number 3 being Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. Again, 14 plus, 1 to 6 players. Long runtime on this game, but there is so much. These Fantasy Flight games are really known for having a great narrative, good story driven. So it's got a running time of 2 to 3 hours. So you do have to have some time to commit to this game, which is which is one of the reasons it's a little lower on my list. But it is absolutely fantastic. Where you will build your city, move around it, having to figure out clues, having to fight different type of monsters or villains or whatever, and it's just so great. And these Fantasy Flight games kind of build off of each other. The more stuff you get for the different games, the more you can kind of cross, as far as, like, say, the standees or the miniatures or whatever, into some of their other games. So just because you have one within their Arkham Horror line doesn't mean you might want to pick up the others. They are very different. This one is the more board game-esque feel for that H.P. Lovecraft Arkham Horror themed game. Next, to continue on with that suit, again from Fantasy Flight Games, we have the Arkham Horror Card Game Edition. This is absolutely fantastic. They keep adding on to it. They keep adding more. I think there's like 4 or 5 now different main expansions with like 6 subs within each one. So within each expansion that they add, they're adding tons of great scenarios, lots of extra characters and cards for your different classes. So the replay ability in this is absolutely fantastic, because you do have so many characters, and where you can try to redo the missions and replay them with maybe a different set of cards, or with a different class, or with a different character, or whatever it is. And let me see if this one works out better for me. See if I worked out that a little better. Additionally, they have their return to line, and that takes all of the scenarios within that line, whether it's the main or say the Dunwich Horror, and it has new scenarios for those, and it changes them up a little bit. Again, adding to that replay. So you're playing missions that you've already done, but they're different. They've done a really good job within all of those as they continue on, changing the feel of the different expansions or seasons, or however you want to put it. So depending on you know, you want to be riding a train, or do you want to be, you know, going in through a house, or do you want to, depending on what you want to do, you can very easily pick up the scenario that best fits your play theme. So that it's a lot of fun. It's great because it's one of those card games that, again, they call it that living card game, because they keep adding more content that you can add to it, but it's not collectible in the fact that you have to worry about buying packs and not getting the cards that you want, or so forth and so on. You know what's in the packs, you know what you're going to get, so you don't have to worry about, you know, spending $1 bazillion, you know, trying to get the 4, you know, 2, 3, 4 of the cards that you want, so you can play, you know, how you want. A lot of fun. Arkham Horror, the card game, absolutely fantastic. And finally, if you know me at all and have gotten a little something out of those top 2 games, I'm betting you can already guess what number 1 is going to be, and you would be right. It absolutely is Fog of Love. That is right. Fog of Love. No, I'm just kidding. It's not Fog of Love. Come on now. We have Mansions of Madness, of course. This right here is absolutely one of my, not just horror-themed games, and again, specifically 2nd edition, but not just one of my favorite horror-themed games, but one of my absolute favorite games. This is a great dungeon crawl. Lot of content. Some of this is starting to get a little more difficult to find, especially the added content to add in some of that 1st edition stuff into the 2nd edition. I think it's like Scattered Memories and something else, I can't remember. But those 2 are definitely getting a little more difficult to find. But a lot of the other expansions, like Horrific Journeys or Streets of Arkham, they're still pretty relatively easy to find. It is a miniatures game, so it is a little more expensive compared to the other 2 Arkham games. But one of the beauties of this game is that you then have this miniatures collection that's starting to grow. So if you are playing the card game or Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, you can very easily pull your characters over from this game and carry them over into that game. And instead of using, say, the standees or whatever it is, or the little character card, you know, you can now use an actual miniature for the game. And that's what I was talking about earlier, about how these Arkham Horror games have a lot of crossover. And even with, say, Arkham Horror, the card game, if you, say, have Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, you'll have the little standees, and those could very easily be ported over. One of the things that makes this one a little more unique is that it has this app which you use to play the game, and it shows you what to set up. As you get new content, you just tell the app what you have, and it automatically puts that into the game. So as it's building the dungeon or the mansion and the rooms, it might be pulling from those other expansions. You're telling it what you're doing, what your successes are. So it is playing Game Master, and that is how this is a how it has that solo option. But it is also great for groups, for more than one player. It again has a longer running time of that 2 to 3 hour run, but absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite games, definitely #1 on my horror list. Well, I hope this list helped you out a little bit to let you know what kind of horror games that I have and what I like to play and a little bit about them. So as we're going through this Halloween season and you're looking for possible games to pull out for your gaming group or even just for yourself, hope this helps you decide what you might want to pick. You can also look forward to next year's edition because I got some great Kickstarters coming, like Tainted Grail, a dark horror themed version of that Arthur legend, Deep Madness, just lots of some more stuff coming. So this list is bound to change come next year. Good things are coming. But that is this year, this 2019 horror or Halloween themed top 10 games. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.